This is Shelley Craft coming to you live on SNNLive. We're at the Planet MicroCap Showcase 2017 at the Planet Hollywood in Las Vegas. I have with me Brian Williamson, Jericho Oil Corporation. The symbol is JCO. It's a publicly traded company on the TSX-V. Brian, welcome to SNNLive.
Thanks, Shelley. Thanks for having me.
It's good to have you. Now, let's tell the audience the basic overview of the company, and then we'll go from there.
Sure. Thanks, Shelley. So Jericho's focus is buying distressed oil and gas assets in the United States, specifically focused on the mid-continent region. We spent the last 2 years acquiring 5 different acquisitions, all based on cash flow and focused on the quality of rocks that lie beneath that cash flow. So all of our assets are unique distress situation, or come from unique distress situations, and they all have significant upside that hasn't been exploited yet because of the lower price environment.
How do you know that it's what they say it is?
Well, it isn't what they say it is, Shelley, that we focus on. It's our goal is to use our deep science team to look at the assets and understand what the rocks hold and what the potential is. And so in each of the assets that we've acquired over the last 2 years, we see 2, 3, and in some cases 4 different benches that haven't been exploited yet. We also see assets that were developed with technology that in our world is yesterday's technology. Oil and gas technology has moved so fast in the last 2 years that a well drilled in 2013 would be considered old technology versus a well drilled in 2016. So we see a lot of upside in the ability to redevelop assets that were developed using older techniques.
But the chances of drilling from scratch and finding a dry hole are somewhat diminished with your business practice.
Oh, absolutely, and that's a great point, Shelley. In our world, we try and minimize the exploration risk as much as possible. There isn't anybody that is in the oil business that can say they've never drilled a dry hole, but the reality is that we focus on rocks and assets that have a lot of history, a lot of data, and a lot of science behind them.
You know, I have to tell you, I've interviewed a lot of oil companies in my life and a lot of gold and silver companies. Those guys usually talk about rocks, not the oil guys. Why is it that you do?
Well, it's a generic term that we use to describe what's below the surface. So in a technical sense, the rocks are in all different forms and formats. There's dolomites, which are sandstones. There's limestones. There's all different types of rocks that are hydrocarbon bearing. I mean, for us, the idea is to understand the rocks that hold the hydrocarbons and is it extractable? And what was deemed not extractable just 4, 5, 6 years ago are now deemed to be some of the world-class plays that you read about, like the Scoop and the Stack.
Price of oil has somewhat come back a little bit. Is your life of buying good depressed assets better or worse as prices go a little higher? I mean, you know, it just stands to reason that guys who think they can make it might stick around longer if they think the price is going up. That's all I'm saying.
Right, it's a great question, and it is a big challenge. So when oil rockets above $50 a barrel, everything gets a lot trickier to navigate because assets that were no longer cash flow positive and stressed have some relief that comes with that higher price. And for us, it's patience. You know, we will never be the highest bidder in buying assets in a process. Our whole mentality is to be the guys who can diligence and close quickly and come with the capital to close, which allows us a unique opportunity to present to the company and their banker that we have the ability to close quickly, but we won't be the highest price. And we are pretty straightforward when we go to transactions and lay that out up front. $50 is a challenge, though, because people do see relief. And so from our perspective, the unique thing about what we've built is we have 70,000 acres that should we see continuing rising prices, our strategy will move into phase 2, which will be to develop all the hydrocarbons that sit below our acreage.
So does that mean rather than just going into known holes, you might start drilling new ones?
We would do both. So we would drill new wells as well as exploit the existing wells. So the new wells would be in some of the same formations that are currently producing for us now, where we have cores, we have cuttings, we have all of the things that our geologists look for to determine the opportunity to produce economically viable hydrocarbons. And so it wouldn't be new formations, they would just be new wells in existing formations for us.
What's your background?
So I've been doing this for just over 20 years now. I actually have a legal background and a finance background and a CPA, and I ended up in the oil business by sheer luck. It just happened to be my first client when I was at a consulting firm way back in the early 90s, and I've been doing it ever since. Came to Jericho in 2013. Alan and I, who's our CEO, have sat on boards together for mining companies, and Alan had always wanted to build an oil company. And as the president and manager of a family office, we thought it made sense because we saw the opportunity to get involved on the public side in a fairly distressed and depressed oil market, because the public markets are unique. They typically overswing in a bad time to the negative, and they overswing in a good time to the positive. So our view was everybody was running from the oil markets, and so we saw it as an opportunity to run into the oil markets on the public side and turn around, because we have staying power, and stay with it until the markets recover.
Any news lately you would like to report on?
So last night we just...
Last night? I didn't know. That's funny, but go ahead, please.
So yesterday we just filed our 2016 year-end reserve reports. Our 2016 year-end reserve reports had a 2P value of $42 million US, which is 77% above the 2015 reserve report. And so we look at that as a watershed moment for our company, because microcaps typically trade at somewhere around 2.5 times their NAV. Jericho currently trades at 0.78 times our NAV.
In the past, I've seen you've done some press releases about significant shareholders in the company, significant investors. Can you comment on that?
Sure. I would say as a microcap, we couldn't ask for a better supporting shareholder base. Our largest shareholder is the Breen family, led by Ed Breen, the CEO and chairman of DuPont, as well as the former CEO and chairman of Tyco. We just added another family to our mix, the Bellsberg family. They are legendary in not only the oil space, but in the microcap space. And Sam is a great supporter and great help to us. And so we're excited to have Sam as an investor in our group. We have the Peterson Group, which are, if not the largest, one of the largest real estate firms in the Vancouver and Canadian market. And then last but certainly not least, we also have Frank Drendrel, who is the CEO and chairman of CommScope, which is also a NASDAQ-listed company. We also have institutional investors in the Leo Group. Their fund has been with us since the beginning. So we feel real excited and feel great about the base we have.
So limited to what you're allowed to tell me, what would be something that you would consider a reachable milestone, let's say, in the next couple years?
So for us, we think it's the time to take our science and capabilities on the road. We see companies that can no longer drill the acreage that they have. The market has changed in oil and gas. People have to drill within their cash flow. The problem with that is that to drill within your cash flow won't sustain the land bank that people have bought. So we see the opportunity there to bring our focused science and our team that has worked from sort of the computer screen to the tank battery in developing oil assets as a great complement to some of the really big players in the market. So we see that as the next evolution for Jericho into moving into more of an exploration mode. So on the one hand, we'll have our cash flowing assets, which are our refracs, our redevelopment work, and the PUD build out of our existing assets. And then the other side will be to hopefully find ourselves the right JV partner to develop some of these prolific assets that we're seeing in the SCOOP and the STACK.
Let's get your website out there for our investor audience, for them to find out some more information, please.
Sure. So Jericho can be found at www.jerichooil.com. JERICHOOIL.com.
Ladies and gentlemen, Brian Williamson, Jericho Oil Corporation. The symbol is JCO on the TSX-V. I'm Shelley Kraft. This is SNNLive, and we're coming to you live from the Planet MicroCap Showcase 2017 right here in Planet Hollywood in Las Vegas. Thank you, Brian, for coming
Thank
on.
you, Shelley. Thanks
What
for
a
having
pleasure.
us. Appreciate it.